Give me a minute. I'm gonna try something with my modem. Alright, I'm still dropping frames, but feel free to let me know if the stream is having any problems. This is what happens when you trust a Mac, kids. Learn from Chalk Smalley. Listen, this thing's good at statistics. It's exactly what I need. Alright. So OBS is telling me a bunch of weird stuff. I'm just going to keep talking like it's a... Wonderful. Thank you very much, Jesse Quill. So, I was... starting to try and sing Jesse Quill's praises. I don't know how far I got inside of it, but most importantly, thank you, Jesse Quill and Raiders, for stopping by. And as I said, first of all, describing in her own words, SPSS on Windows. The standard tool of economists is Stata, which costs too much money in my opinion, so I am slowly trying to transition to R. But we'll call Jesse Quill by her official title, the hot-headed streamer. Sorry, fail counting variety streamer. My God, I thought I had that better. Like I said, there's a lot of descriptions that I've given of her. They are all true. She is somebody who, if you are not following yet, shame on you. Please click her name and click follow. That's the very least that you can do. If you'll notice, this channel is now at 243 followers, and she is a big part of that. And one of the big things that, like, again, all of the things that I say about her, one of the one-liners that I think would very safely describe her as the streamer that other streamers watch on their time off. There's a few reasons that I think for that. Number one, she's got one of the most professional setups that I've seen as far as the stream is concerned, just in terms of the overall look. And it's a look that she's always, like, I've seen several iterations of it over time. She's somebody who is constantly putting the effort into making her stream better, becoming a better broadcaster herself. And so sets a very high bar for somebody smaller like myself in terms of being able to accomplish things. But also just in terms of the breadth of games that she plays. She's really capable of doing a lot, and is one of the streamers who also does the face cam very well. I've said it quite a few times that she's very expressive, but the fact of the matter is, if you look at her Twitter account, she's actually just very photogenic. But of course, these two things are not mutually exclusive. Somebody can be photogenic as well as very expressive. If you want to be entertained, if you want reliable entertainment every single time that you go on Twitch, we were talking about W. Shand, who gave me a great host, which is the reason why I'm so groggy today. But Jesse Quill is somebody who constantly delivers and streams a lot more often than me. So she also says nice things about me when I come into her chat, so that's also high on the list of things. So, Miss Ariella, how is it going? My face, he likes that. Yes, Jesse Quill has a nice face. You like my content? I probably would have paid much more attention during college if it was one of your lecturers. Well, funny thing, even though I've done office hours for computer science, nobody shows up until... Sorry, that's not true. I have a small cadre of regulars, but nobody usually showed up unless there was a test. So, all right. I think I have got my introductions out of the way. I've got some other games that I'm going to be playing in the future. I'm not going to say what they are, but I'm looking forward to them. If you were in Seriously Clara's chat when she was playing Alien Isolation, you got a hint in terms of what the game is going to be. But it's an old one that I'm really looking forward to getting back to. But no one ever shows up to office hours for anyway. Yeah, exactly. Alright, so let's talk a little bit about Frozen Cortex. This is a game by a company called Mode 17. The beautiful soundtrack that you're hearing in the background is made by the producer of this game. I believe his name is Paul Taylor. He is the owner of the Mode 17 Twitter account. He is a really great guy from what I can see. If you take a look at the YouTube channel that he does, he's very concerned with the fans. When Frozen Synapse won an award, he had a GoPro which he brought up onto stage with him specifically so that he could show the fans what it was like to win an award. He has done some what I call like fireside chats on YouTube, and they're about game design, they're about his music career. One of the reasons that he does music is because one of the reasons he does games is because music is very hard to break into, and gaming was a unique way that he could get his music out there. He records his Nervous Test Pilot. The music is great. He also does chip tunes under the name of Ensnare. Very open in terms of his dialogue, I think very thoughtful. And I've been following his Twitter, and occasionally I'll ask a question or I'll make a comment in that, and he responds. He's somebody who I think does it's not very often that he'll do these kinds of things, but in terms of his interactions with his fans and his community, and in terms of the quality of the ideas coming out of it, he is somebody who stands out in my regard. So it's a company that I'm interested in. I'm interested in the fact that they use an engine known as the Torque engine, which is completely free. If you want to make games, again, one thing that we keep coming back to on the stream is the fact that there's been a proliferation of tools available for free or at very low costs to people. And he's actually been addressing that in his dialogue as well, which is to say, do we have the death of the indie dream because everything's so competitive right now? And of course, the easy answer to that is no, but again, he has some very good thoughts on that. But System Shock? I don't know, it's old but good. Did I say something about System Shock? I've played the second one, and I've played BioShock, obviously. But, yeah, I wish I had. I'm actually going to be learning some, I'm definitely going to try and learn Unity by the end of the summer. Endors, if you ever do anything reputable enough to win some kind of major award, can I come and introduce you? I'd love to introduce you, Endors. I'll be like the voice coming through the PA system, so I can keep this like non-public appearance thing that I have going. Yeah, not a problem, Mecha Fanboy. Let me take a minute, and while I'm doing the dialogue, I'll see if I can dig him up. Alright, see you when you get back, Jessica. Alright, so his name should be... Well, actually, it'll probably appear in chat. So if it hasn't already appeared in chat, it'll be there in a second. But yeah, that's the Twitter account that I just posted was it's the producer of this game. He's part of a two-man team for Mode 17. It's more than just two people who run that studio. Or sorry, it was two people who run the studio, but it's more than two people who design the games. But he's very, in my opinion, he is the face of that group. And again, I just think he's an example of the kind of developer that I wish we had more of and that I would like to support. Oh yeah, I was making excuses for my Mac background. So one of the drawbacks of this game is that if you do full screen, it stretches out all of the text in that, so you get to see islands in the background. Maybe if I stream this game more, I'll put up some I'll put up some sci-fi backgrounds or something like that. But so Frozen Synapse was a game that really caught my attention. It's a turn-based strategy game. It's asynchronous, so like what you can do is you can play it, you can take your turn, and then you can go off. You could go for a camping trip, and then as long as the other guy has sent you his turn, you'll be able to respond in your own time. So I think it's a good game for busy people. It's really interesting because it sort of breaks down a combat encounter to something like 30-second units, and basically you will give your instructions for how the things are going to behave over a 30-second period. And of course, that's where the strategy is. You can't predict what your enemy is going to do, so you try and design an optimal strategy with the limited information that you have. And then what's especially rewarding about that game is you can go back and you can watch the full engagement play out in its real time. So I think it's a really neat game. It's a little complicated. I won't even necessarily say it's complicated. It's very strategic, which means it can be a little bit off-putting. And Frozen Cortex is a logical extension of that formula. So what they do here is they kind of create this future sport, and you have the same strategy. So you're going to be planning out your play. What's neat about this one is that certain events will actually cause a break in the timeline, and you can update your strategy. So it's really neat because let's say you have this 30-second unit where you've sort of created a strategy based on a set of assumptions. And then let's say somebody's picked up the ball, like it was intercepted, or somebody just threw a long bomb and it reached a certain height. You are able to update your prior, and then in this case, your strategy is probably not going to be optimal in the face of something really unexpected, but you at least get a chance to design something new with that new information. It's an updated look to the game. I actually find it a little bit more difficult personally. But that's what makes it so much fun. That's why I wanted to stream it today. So, Masariella, you got to go for tonight? Sorry I didn't get to show you some game. I'll actually just jump into it right now. But I hope you have a good sleep, and we will see you next time. Hopefully I get to see you in your stream again. I like to watch you play The Sims, but I always seem to start watching right around the time I need to step out. So, all right, it's probably been half an hour of me talking. I think that's gotten all the bookkeeping out of the way. So, do I do Knockout? Do I do Cortex Manager? Or I could do Basic Leagues. Let's just do a Basic League and see what that's like. Oh, looks like I need to change the resolution. There we go. Now I can actually see everything. Is this really the best I got? I guess I could up my monitor resolution and go for one of these others, but I think this is the best way to handle it. All right. If it's only been a half hour talking, you still owe us another 45 minutes before I can start playing T-Clock. It's funny. This is basically The Office. I feel like I should get a more science-y background. Just soak in this soundtrack. I really like it. There we go. Look at that. So we're in the office right now. These are going to be our opponents. We've got the Armed Forces, Heavy Perspective Redemption, SXT, Vision, the Cloud Cartel. Hang on a second, I'm supposed to be able to name my team. Oh, it's customized team here. All right. So Armed Forces, Heavy Perspective, Redemption, SXT Vision, the Cloud Cartel Colonists, the Turek Foundation, and... Do I still want to go with the difference engines? Do I have another cool computer-style name? Background Jig Frozen Cortex should be brain inside an ice cube. Yeah. This was actually originally called Frozen End Zone, but they didn't like the title and they thought it would be better to keep something a little something consistent with the previous game. I don't think I'm going to do better than the difference engines right now. Let me just take a quick look at my library and see if anything stands out. Yeah, we'll keep it. System Shock, Snow Crash Bowl. One thing I'll comment on, I kind of wish they gave us a little bit more... I wish they kind of showed us what the stadiums actually looked like. I don't get a whole lot from what these stadium types are, so we'll go with the far right one this time. I never quite know what to do with the team colors. Let's go for... that and that. I don't know, I like a lot of these. I like a lot of the stuff that I picked the last time I played this, so... I haven't earned any stadium decorations yet. I definitely have some new faces now, so hopefully you can see it here. This is a very unimpressed looking robot. I like this look. Head hologram. I remember these looked a little clowny. I'm gonna go without shoulder holograms, but I'll go with arms and legs. Alright, done. So we do next event. Basically, what's gonna happen in this game is you've got the management aspect of the game, so it is an actual sports team. You buy and sell and trade players, and then there's the actual match. So I'll be honest, like the last time that I played this, I had the tutorial mode on, so I was able to have the option of seeing what the enemy team was doing, which clearly takes any of the challenge out of the game. But it's still neat. Like it's a neat way to learn the game. I actually think it's a really smart decision that they made in terms of making the game a little bit more accessible. I don't need to play the tutorial again. So let's take a look at what we've got here. Newsflash: backwards running debate flares again at the league meeting. Latest league news: Robo-Punter will not be allowed in future seasons according to Blatt. Core 4 teams meet with WRC and League to discuss player rights. Lines Up the Sportsbook has new lines up for the upcoming games. Ah, right. So in this one, you can place bets on your team. I'm not gonna bet on myself, I'm not that confident. Your friend had her daughter today at 9:03 a.m. and she's been so exhausted that she's making her husband do her dailies and all her mobile games. That's amazing. Opponent call. So each time you're ready to go against an opponent, you're going to get just a little... There is a story behind this game, and it's actually persistent over several different playthroughs, so you don't get everything the first season that you play. I don't believe the story is enabled in this random mode, but there's still some details about your opponent that can be revealed through the dialogue, so... Compatriot Kite. Alright, System Shock. Got some new units over the break. You'll see them in action today. Not too sure on your offense this year, are you? A few gaps there. I'll enjoy taking you apart. So you can take a look at the robot market. I don't believe I can afford anything new. Oh, hang on. So right now, basically everything that I have is not good. So there's no, like, perfect bot. So the best that I can hope for here is an average to bad unit. The two that I can afford have either the same or less speed, so really it's about the block and the strength. What I'll just try and do here is not rely as heavily on things like blocks. So I'll keep with what I have right now and maybe I'll consider buying new players when I have a clearer idea in terms of where my weaknesses are. And we go into the game. Yeah, you know what? Mecha did a much better job of expressing the sentiment that I did. Congratulations on both being able to manipulate and bringing a new life into the world. Greetings, Cortex fans. I can't wait to get into our match today. It's System Shock versus the Compatriot Kite right here at the Snow Crash Bowl. I'll be tabulating and cogitating with unwavering efficiency throughout. And I'll be here to bring you the hard facts. Let's turn this music up. It'll be a good thing to see these teams in their first match in the league this season. I've overseen preparations personally. Every optimization for mechanical efficiency has been achieved. Let us begin, System Chalk. Hello, Litu. How's it going? No Crusader Kings 2. Tonight we're playing Frozen Cortex by Mode 17 Games. This game gives you kind of two perspectives. You can play it directly from top down. If you prefer the 3D view, you can also navigate. I mean, you can always head back to a top-down view automatically, but in this case, I am in my new purple uniforms, and we can get a bit of an idea. We can get a little bit of an idea of what I am up against. The key features of this terrain are the sort of low... So the low rises. So in this case here, you can throw a ball over it, but you can't run through it. Notice if I try to move, he's going to go out and around. Then there's these higher areas. I don't think there's a really good way for me to zoom in on them. But basically, I couldn't throw the ball over them at all. So I guess the best way for me to explain that would be to just run over to the ball and pick it up. And then... Oh wait, it's not going to let me throw it as a... No. Okay. I'll show you the throwing mechanic when I get through the play. So first thing I'm thinking of when I pick up the ball here is I can throw to the side, throw down, I can try running, I can throw here, I can really try and chance something over here, and I could attempt to run, but I have a feeling that that's going to be shorter than I'd want. Okay, so I'm going to try something a little unconventional here. I said I wasn't going to rely on blocking that much. Okay, this is good. Oh, see you, Mecha Fanboy. Thanks for stopping by. And you're doing well enough, just woke up, so you haven't decided? Do you like... I don't drink coffees in the morning. Okay. Well, I hope you wake up. I'm feeling quite groggy myself, but we'll make the most of the stream. So what I'm doing here is, notice that you can... Basically, you can sort of lay out your plan right now. So what I've done is I've tried to make sure that if they try to rush me at the sides here, I wind up successfully blocking them. What that's going to do is give me enough time to pick up the ball at this point. Alright, so I'm pretty heavily committing myself to... There's two really big problems with this strategy. These guys are blocking right now, but I've tied them up. This guy, again, is making an assumption in terms of where my opponent's going to be. And so really, I'm giving a really big signal to my opponent that I fully intend to commit to pursuing this. Now again, I'm keeping an option open. Actually, I don't think I'm going to be able to throw... I don't actually think I'm going to be able to throw here. I'm still keeping that option open. So the problem that I have with this strategy is I'm basically signaling that I'm abandoning this side, that I'm extremely unlikely to go to pursue it this avenue, and so I'm basically telling my opponent to cover the middle. Now, if I land on either of these dots, I'm going to be able to pick up some spare points. But, I mean, if I saw somebody employ a strategy like this, I would take this guy who's completely uncontested and run through like that. Now, obviously, this spot hasn't actually followed through on his instruction to pick up the ball yet, so let's start with that. So, notice at this point I do actually have some options in terms of what I do. But the biggest problem with this strategy is that I've gone all in on a fairly obvious play. So I'm going to prime it and see what happens, but this could actually turn out quite poorly for me.
System Prime.
Adam collects that thing like a tax from the poor that'll get us started off. So sort of as expected, this... as expected, the AI is sort of prepared for this... this center strategy. I think... I'm just gonna go for a running play. So if I wanted to throw the ball, I do it like this. I could, so theoretically I could actually send it through like this. Now again, I'm going to get clobbered by this guy. Block is much stronger. So what I'm going to do instead... I'm going to use him for a little backup here, and I'm going to just try and run as fast... I'm going to try and get as far as I can with... that's a problem. So he's basically going to be able to run in. I didn't realize that he'd actually block that guy. Well, you know what? This really isn't the best of my options, but I'm good. I'm gonna go as far as I can with it. So there's two priorities that I have here. Is to get up it's to get this point here. It'd be great if I could pursue this, but because I failed in this regard, if I try and approach this guy, I'm gonna get creamed. If I stand my ground here, if this guy tries to move forward, I take him down. Yeah. So basically, if he were smart, he would run forward. Now, the nice trick here is that he might also try and cover this guy, because of course I can try and throw something at him too. So let me think. I think the best way is to get my 2, try and move as far as I can into the enemy area, and then as long as my positioning's kind of okay. One concern I have is this guy, who's basically completely undefended. If they get their hands on the ball and are able to throw it to him, then that's basically a free goal for them, and probably 4 extra points on top of it. But let's just make sure this. So depending what they do with this guy, actually, I know exactly what they're going to do. They're going to run him here. They'd run him here because that's the most logical place for them to. That's the most logical place for a pass to happen. So let's see if I can do something about that. There we go. All right, so I'm making some fairly bold assumptions about how suboptimally the enemy team is going to play, but I think this is the best I can hope for. I think it'd be fun to watch me play Blood Bowl, where I try to work through the rat's nest of RNG. Yeah, the nice thing about this one is there's really no RNG to this one. But that's also the problem with this game, is that in the end my poor strategies are entirely on me. So let's see how this goes. Okay, so I just got away with murder. Easy game, easy life. Enormous zone from Yadav as he picks up the goal, and 2 points for zones for 11. Man, that was immense. We should have squeezed harder. So yeah, you can kind of see. Let's see exactly how that went down, actually. So I'm just going to focus on this center area here to see where it fell apart for them. Gotcha. So basically, this was going to be their defense for the center. He was kept there. Actually, it looks like they had 2 of them. So they were anticipating an interception to take the end zone. They didn't have enough cover for a run up the middle. So yeah, I mean, it's not unreasonable to think that this guy is going to stop any run or is going to stop activity in the end zone. The big problem that they ran into, though, was that, like, if you're ever playing a game like this, the way that you do it is you say, it's like, okay, I'm going to play like this guy's standing here, and then you say, is there any path that I can take that's going to move around him? And if you actually plot out what the enemy's going to do, you tend to find that there's these just outside of range paths that you can take. Did they take the round to have a nap? Nah, they didn't anticipate. Consider how risky it is with a guy who's almost guaranteed to get, 2 dots and an end zone. Consider how risky it is to try and do a running play in that case, right? Well, the other thing is maybe he just bet against himself. So, the other thing is that they anticipated to have coverage in the middle, but I shut them down. So, I mean, it's a somewhat defensible strategy that they have, but clearly one that didn't work out. So, next round. I'm just going to see if I can make this screen any bigger, because I definitely like watching the replays. I think if I go 900, that's not going to work, but... So I hope that kind of gives you an idea in terms of how the game works. Generally, running plays are not that successful, especially as soon as you pick up the ball. But if you... Oh good, we get to watch this again. Obviously, if you do something really unexpected, it can pay off. So the reason why I went... clearly it's a suboptimal strategy to take a... It's a suboptimal strategy to take the second one here if you think the enemy is going to defend. The thing is that there's no credible series of events where... if you think that this line of defense is going to work, there's no credible series of events that says that there's going to be an enemy here. So at this point I said either they're either going to stop this play. If they don't stop this play, there's not going to be anybody defending this because I've already decided to run. So in that case, I felt safe picking up the second point. If I thought there was any probability that this guy would be stopped here, I'd just run straight to the end zone. All right. Well then, I'm doing a good job of selling this game. Sorry, guys. It's actually the first time the game's crashed on me. Probably because I'm playing around with a bunch of video settings in the middle of the game. Still better than Arkham Knight, am I right? I was actually a little nervous to do this on stream because I have not played the mode without being... I've always been able to see the enemy's moves. This is... Screen is not where I want it to be. I'm gonna guess you guys are sick of seeing that play. It's one of my favorite songs on the soundtrack. Big lead for System Chalk with their ball game going into the next phase. Alright, so what I'm going to encounter here is basically I'm in the enemy's position where they were before. So there were a couple of things that they were pretty effective at doing. So I have to have this guy at a choke point. Like, if they do the same thing to me, I'm gonna be furious. The problem with moving this guy up here is he's probably going to wind up blocked, but I think it's very likely that the AI does a play to the left or the right. So the biggest weakness that I have in... You know what? I'm going to preserve the option and keep both of these guys standing where they are. The biggest weakness with that strategy that I planned out was that they can throw the ball here. If I move this guy up, he's not going to be able to reply in time. If I try to move this guy through, if they actually want to throw the ball here, I would keep this guy to block him. I don't think that's actually going to happen. Now the problem with this defense is that I'm trying to cover everything, and I'm doing a really bad job of accomplishing that. So I'm gonna prime it and just try and get as much information as I can from their movement before they pick up the ball, and then I'm gonna try and commit a little more heavily. Okay, so they've definitely abandoned the left-hand side. That probably means... I actually think it's really likely that they wind up doing a play down the middle here. I feel like I'm going to be too late on a lot of these. Okay, so you know what? Rather than just run in and get clobbered by all of these guys, let's be a little more sensible about how we do this. If I try to throw it here... Looks like this guy gets clobbered no matter what, which is actually a really big problem. Okay, well, I need to... I kind of need to commit, even if it means that these guys are getting stunned. I need to get people moving in. Unless everybody's standing where they are, at least somebody's going to get in the way. The real question is whether or not I keep this guy out on a flank. Yeah.
System Prime.
Holy crap. There's literally nothing I can do about that. I had no idea you could actually throw that. That's a huge miscalculation on my part, but... Well, nothing I can do about it.
System Prime.
Sorry guys, I was completely ignoring chat for a bit. Forza Cortex really doesn't seem like your kind of game. You really like Frozen Synapse, but even mention of sports generally makes you annoyed. It's quite a different strategy from Frozen Synapse, even though some elements are very much the same. Absolutely true. Firaxi and Nevermore, good morning. Good time zone. Oh yes, it's checking out a new Kindle book this weekend. What did you get, T. Clark? And welcome back, Jesse Quill. I had a really good play, and I just completely let something slip through my defenses. Dever collects Goldback's long bomb in the end zone for the goal. That was like the restructuring of industry for collective ownership. Good. Sally too. I'll tell you, like, I'm not one for sports games. I definitely think the key differences between this and Frozen Synapse that I really like is the fact that, notice how when they threw that long bomb, I had a minute to respond. Now, I just didn't even think about checking. Like, I kind of assumed, and this is the problem with games, with assuming in games like this, is I thought that this would prevent you from being able to throw from the from this point all the way to the end. So this guy couldn't arrive on time. Now, the big thing is that they didn't pick up any of the dots on the ground, so as long as I'm able to run out the clock, I still win. But I definitely need to reconsider my approach. Romance of the Three Kingdoms. It was only like $3.85, and you got a few of the many free Kindle books on Amazon. I definitely like the... I like free. Sisters Rock as a lead as we head to the next phase. Compatriot Kite's got to put the distance to get in... put the distance in to get this back, Bob. Alright. Well, I could just try a complete BS move like they did on me, but... how do I want to play this? So this is not a great placement on my part. I'm keeping the option open to do the exact same play that I did before. But what I'm actually thinking is trying to send this off to the side. I just want to see if they commit.
System primed.
So the points on the ground, do they need to be somehow attached to the ball? No, yeah, the guy holding the ball needs to pick them up. Okay, so he's making a beeline towards me here. They're completely open on the sides. But they're able to stop me. So if I do the same nonsense that they did with me, I don't get the point. So again, it's another running play. This is a really risky one because if anything goes wrong about this, they get a score in the end zone. But I'm almost certain they're going to ignore the right flank now that I've committed so much in the middle.
System Prime.
It's on for 99 cents. Also looking for a book about Charlemagne. Oh, only 99 cents. Nevermore. I've not actually played. Blood Bowl, so I wouldn't be able to say. And T. Clark, I've not heard of that game theory text. I should let you know. So these are a little bit more advanced texts, but Martin Osborne and Ariel Rubinstein have written two. I think one is called Bargaining in Markets, and the other one is called A Course in Game Theory. If you do a Google search for Martin Osborne, he has released both of those books for free. Now again, I don't necessarily think that's going to be, that is pretty much a graduate level textbook, so it's probably not where you want to go out from the start, but I should just let you know that those are two very good game theory books if you want to get in depth on them. That's a free resource available to you. Alright, so let's see if it worked. Oh no! I have thrown this game away. How did that happen? Wow. I don't really think there's anything I can do about this. Well, thank you, Jesse Quill. That's it. Exactly.
System primed.
Oh, Jesus Christ, that was bad. Brown gets the goal and also picks up a point zone. 9 points for Compatriot Kite. Compatriot Kite's got this in the bag now, or near enough. The heavies applaud. Applause will be thunderous, and rightly so. System Shock has some work to do if he wants to catch up in this match, Bob. Where's the broccoli in this one, Auditor? Is it streamed? Is it steamed? Is it boiled? And what is... That's what System Shock is going to be asking. I have no idea what that statement means. Okay. So we don't let them do the same thing like last time.
System primed.
Yeah, the music's great. If you can take a look for Nervous Test Pilot online, there's quite a bit of music like this. Several years ago, I was approached to coach a team. Let me tell you, I couldn't handle the pressure. You have to respect those guys in the booths, Bob. My confidence is absolutely shattered after that one. Like, I didn't put any time into planning that. Or this round here. Okay, good. So if he stands completely still, I win. You know what? Let's just do it. It's immensely trying to see aggressive strategies dominating the league. Oh, okay. It's always gone before I can read it. This particular game theory book is by somebody named William Spaniel. He's a PhD student in political science. He even has a YouTube channel for teaching game theory. Kind of interesting. You know, it's interesting. There's a political science prof in Chicago, I believe, Ethan Bueno de Mesquita, who's a big game theory guy too. You're kidding me. They're doing the exact same thing. And it's gonna work. So, I'm really confused by this, because this guy's not able to move at all, and they're gonna succeed in getting another touchdown. Like, is this just an unbeatable strategy for this map? I'm gonna try it myself. I mean, this game's kind of over, but let's,
System primed.
I'm interested now, because I actually don't see how you're supposed to beat... How you're supposed to beat that. Right, so I kick his ass there. Alright, so here he runs in after this guy. I'm pretty sure that's how that's gonna happen, actually. I'm kind of committed now, though, so... yeah, so... it's actually quite good. Political science can definitely benefit from some good game theory consideration. Oop. Kind of a weak pass, if you ask me, Bond. Yeah. I mean, this is kind of optimistic, but I kind of gotta get it where I can, so.
System primed.
Thanks, Lee, too. Yeah, CPO Williams. This is Frozen Cortex. I'm kind of phoning it in at this point, because I had a really bad... I had a really good play at the start, and then I had a really bad one at the end. Ridiculous. God.
System prime.
And T. Clark found a copy of A Beautiful Mind the other day. You got it in your head. It would be good to learn the basic game theory. Yeah, so I was talking... So, I mean, in its simplest form... Yeah, we can watch my humiliating defeat.
You lost the match.
So, we'll watch that thing in the full replay. I'll take the... Okay, I can't talk over this music, so...
The match.
So you can argue picking up the 2 points at the end is a greedy move, which it was, but in that case I was... a single hit in the end zone wasn't going to be enough to win that, so... that is kind of how you win games like this, or how you eventually start to win games like this, which is you learn the trick. So one thing I don't like about this map is that the only real strategy is to just throw that thing down the end. Anything else, like, if you don't defending against it takes up about 3 of your units, but not defending against it basically guarantees your enemy everything. Like, whenever I tried to pursue something different, they would always have... They seem to be able to answer anything else that I did, even while having proper coverage over that. So I need to think about this map a little bit more. It's the first time I've done something like this. Now, as far as game theory goes, which was not employed very well in this case.
You lost the match.
Let's continue. We were rewarded 100 credits for our map against HVP. 23-13, we lost... Our record is now 0-1, so not an auspicious start to the game. So, the reason why political science will benefit from game theory is it's a formal way of modeling sort of strategic situations, and so especially if you're trying to do an analysis in terms of how policymakers are going to decide on a new law, and especially when you consider this idea of, you have this collective will, right? You've got what the population actually wants. You've got politicians who want to get into office, that is their reason for existence. You have a number of things to say. It's like, okay, well, how likely are... this is where you can start analyzing things like, how likely is it that the current electoral system that we have, how likely is it that we're going to have outcomes that are in line with what people actually want? And then, of course, you can throw lobbyists in. One of the big problems, in my opinion, with a lot of political economy and game theory right now is that if you don't include lobbying, then it's a remarkably naive view of how the world works. But it seems that when special interests get entered into the analysis, it's always kind of like, yeah, people are idiots and special interests always get what they want. And that clearly isn't the way the world works either. There's definitely people I know. They're usually the ones, if you don't know who these people are, you can find them on your Facebook feed by seeing the person who's always posting something from Noam Chomsky or something like that. But barring somebody who's really committed to this idea that the world is irredeemably broken, I think it's very safe to say that it is not a world where special interests get everything that they want, and it's also not a world where the optimal decisions for the electorate are being made. And so, because game theory is a very precise way of modeling rational agents, exhibiting maximizing behavior according to a very specific set of rules, you're able to put a much richer analysis than just, sitting down and reading John Locke for the millionth time and saying, well, this is the way people behave. Like, you have a common language that you can communicate with, to other people with. Now, the problem is that obviously mathematics is quite challenging for some people, and you need to know your math to do game theory. But in principle, there's nothing in those kinds of analyses that you wouldn't be able to point to and say, can you justify this point to me? And as long as you are willing to spend enough time, you'd be able to take it back to something that has either been demonstrated or has a rigorous proof. All right. Mentor Brack gives a sermon from Redemption Meeting House. Professor Turek's sideline in moral philosophy. David Kite was a phaseball pitcher in high school. Here's a look. Mentor Brack's sermon. Brethren, it has been my honor to represent you to society through my work in the Global Cortex League for almost 5 years now. Everyone in the world is trying to achieve a combination of goals in their life which they believe will lead to fulfillment. Money, love, family, sex, power, possessions, creative achievements. Our faith guides us in the certain knowledge that these things are indeed important, but they are important within the context of understanding, a sense of the veins that run through society, through culture, and through reality. I play a game which pivots on the rational. With robots as our instruments, we create our own sub-patterns. It's hard to remain humble. This process gives us a great deal of control. But what we must remember is that we are making a contribution. We are building a structure to allow the pattern to reach through this culture, to reach through the hearts of our nation, to purify and simplify. The pattern is everything. We're taught this. Identify it. Live by it. Allow it to pervade your actions. Only then will this culture grow in peace. So out of curiosity, while I'm going to be making some decisions in terms of new players, see, this is kind of the ideal for me, something that's strictly better in all regards. There are a few people who were here when I talked about the game theory description in the film A Beautiful Mind. Is there anybody here who would like to hear why the description of game theory... This is a simple description, but does anybody want to hear where that scene got it wrong? Or are there enough people here who've already heard that story once before that I'd just be preaching to the choir? And CPO Williams, sorry, I don't think I answered your question that well. It's a strategy game. It does have the setting for it is a sport, but it bears a lot of semblance to their game Frozen Synapse, which is a combat sim. So yeah, it's a sports game, but the key to it is this idea of sort of a turn-based game where you're trying to get as much activity done in 30 seconds while your opponent is doing the same. I really don't want to do a bet. Phone call. Yes, System Shock. I do wonder about your aptitude in this sport. It'll be certainly interesting to face you at this point. Our team's autonomous players will certainly be able to guide me around your more unusual strategies. Goodbye. I was wondering about this. This is definitely not the way this character talked to me last time. So in this case, this is definitely letting me know I'm an idiot. So I won't let him sass me like that. Never seen A Beautiful Mind. You always catch the beginning and then have to leave or come in during the last 20 minutes. It's not a bad movie at all. Hello, I'm Bob Jansky. It's a fantastic day here at the Snow Crash Bowl. Oh god, am I on the same terrain again? No. For a game between System Shock and Professor Turek. I am the auditor, and damn it! I need to remember to do this, do the dialogue a little bit quicker. No, that doesn't work. I'm pretty sure, T. Clark, the book is quite different from the film. I know that's a very common thing for people to say, but it's not to say the film is bad by any stretch of the imagination, but there's definitely some dramatic license that Akiva Goldsman took in creating the story. Quite sadly, I don't know if any of you guys know, but John Nash actually died very recently with his wife. It was a car crash. But certainly a very... game theory in some senses existed before Nash's contributions, but certainly what he accomplished was... it was extremely unique, and so far as my studies are concerned, economics, the idea of Nash equilibrium is an extremely useful one. And I mean, in the end, it's not an overstatement to say that his contributions to game theory and the whole, like, just this whole idea of game theory in general is sort of this underpinning behind all of the math, or behind all the microeconomic analysis that I do. It's it's not necessarily like the nice thing about it is that what you learn in introductory courses in university, you don't necessarily need to know that what's going on behind the scenes is game theory, but basically all of the conclusions that you get from your introductory courses can be derived quite formally using a game theoretic perspective. Man, I'm really not myself after that last game. Like, I'm playing this so hesitantly because I don't see any possibilities. Like, I'm looking at this and I'm like, well, if I try to run, they catch me here. If I try to throw, they catch it here. Kind of given up. Surely I can do better than this. You know what? Let's prime it and see what the...
System Prime.
Let's see what they do to set up. Not sure you want to see the Ender's Game movie. You only fairly recently listened to it as an unabridged audiobook, and you can't imagine how badly they could butcher it in a movie. You heard it's pretty bad. Well, so the one thing to say about the Ender's Game film is that Orson Scott Card said something about same-sex marriage, I believe. And so there was a very large protest about that particular film for his comments. Now, that is not... In no way is that intended to make him a martyr or justify anything that he said. But it's one of these cases where this is one of these situations where it's quite possible that somebody has sort of loaded the argument against Card. Now, I haven't seen the film, and it's definitely not to say. It's definitely not to say that the game is, or that Ender's Game is sort of the victim of a smear campaign. But I definitely know there were people who effectively refused to see it because of his comments. Don't give up, SC. Hey Lorgosh, how's it going? Chalk has tasted defeat, now watch and see if it challenges him to be a better person or ends him. So, okay, yeah, so we've got CPO Williams. I'm fairly certain CPO Williams is speaking of its merits as a work of cinema. I mean, let's face it, the track record of adaptations of books is not that outstanding. This is really not a good... So, I mean, the big problem here is I can't do that because he just moves in and I'm done for. Wow, that's a really big oversight on my part. Okay, so first of all, are there any BS moves that I can do? Well, theoretically I could try this, but what happens? Yeah, they intercept that. Huge Ender's universe, and they tore the book into shreds. Wasn't the best ever, but it wasn't as bad as the Desolation. So I didn't see anything past the first Hobbit movie. Peter Jackson is good at directing in some senses, and he fails in one very important regard, in my view, which is he makes his movies too long. Okay, I gotta think about this. You don't see them as one-to-one recreations. You like Lord of the Rings movies. You're sure it's not 100 faithful to the books. Definitely not 100% faithful to the books. Doesn't have to be either. However, from what you've heard, The Ender's Game was just a bad movie. Yeah, it's again, like I'm not in a position to comment one way or the other. See, one thing I was going to say, the fact that he's saying not as solid of a position as he would wish means that there's a gap somewhere. I just need to find it, though. Okay, so first of all, where can I throw this? Oh, that's not what I intended. Yeah, so he gets clobbered if I do that. Oh, hang on. So what if we try this? Oh, no, he gets... Well, I mean, in that case, I'm screwed again. Sorry, I hate opening discussions like this and then not talking during them, but this is I'm just not seeing... I'm not seeing the win in this position. So if he tries to intercept, yeah. Running would be irresponsible. Okay, actually that's an important piece of information, so I can't do that diagonal, so I need to move down. Okay, I think I got it. It's a risk, but it's one I'm willing to take.
System primed.
I saw Ender's Game. I thought it was reasonably enjoyable on its own. Full disclosure, though, I never read the book. I wouldn't go out of my way to watch it, but if it happened to be on likewise, I wouldn't go out of your way to find something else. Don't generally watch a lot of movies. Last time you watched a movie outside of the ones in your existing collections that you know you love was about 2 years ago. And you don't watch too many of those either. You do watch a bit of sci-fi series and good cartoons, such as Archer, though. It's a good movie if you haven't read the book. That's generally the experience of a lot of people, I think. I think Hitchcock said something about the fact that bad books usually make the best movies. I really want to see how this turns out. Okay, so I got away with it. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of options now. Oh, hang on. Nope. I'm an idiot. Okay. So what's it gonna take to stop these guys? Why isn't he throwing? Oh, Jesus Christ, that's bad. Okay, so he's staying put. Oh, Jesus, really? Let me just... Okay, cool. So what I need to do right now is I need to set up in case they successfully intercept me. They need to commit at least one guy to blocking this pass. The next one is probably going to wind up moving up. This guy needs to make a decision whether he wants to tackle this guy or... Actually, you know what? He's probably going to move down like this. Oh. See, it doesn't matter for the... You know what? I'm okay with that. So what I need to do now is basically prepare for a world where they have the ball from their zone. Notice what happens here is he basically winds up suffocated. Oh, you know what? I can save myself a whole lot of effort too. Okay, I can't let him hit me like that. Basically, I'm trying to suffocate him in his end zone so that basically I get my hands on the ball. I mean, it's trick. You know, there's no advantage to me sticking there, so let's see how it goes. Seriously? So this is how it's gonna go down. I kind of want to call bullshit on that, but... There we go. So I believe anything he tries to do on this side, he loses immediately. What? That's silly. This guy is standing right in front of him and he's not intercepting. I don't buy it. Right, well, I gotta live with it. Okay, so now apparently I also deal with the fact that... Man, I don't think I understand this game as well as I should. I'm basically just trying to make sure this guy doesn't get kicked. Alright, so I'll successfully pick up the ball, but I'll be able to catch him at that point. Let's go for the most optimistic play he can do there. Yeah. So anything he does in that direction, I'm covered. And I believe I'm already taken care of. Yeah. Alright. You don't get why this game seems like there's some sort of unfairness. If you get close to the enemy, they always block you, but you don't block them. This guy's running ahead, you follow them, you just turn around, they insta-block you and continue running. Yeah, that's the problem I'm running into late too. I think there is something to be said for stats. Nope, not in this case, actually. So there's definitely a difference in terms of stats and things like that. A lot of it has to deal with whether or not you're standing in position or not, but I definitely feel like the AI is able to exploit those advantages better. So what I've done instead is I've created something of a foolproof plan. The problem is that they can get the ball pretty far ahead. But the key difference here is that I know they don't score a point if they do that. Whereas if I move him like right on top of him, then I potentially get stunned and they run to the end zone. So
System primed.
We'll go for it. We'll see what happens. What?
Go.
I think I'm just... I am not playing the rest of this game. Okay, so you tell me whether or not this makes any sense. Not stunned. Picks up the ball. Just stands there watching. In fact, the entire defensive line watches him run by. Oh, good lord. I am not doing this anymore. How do I get out of here? There we go. Let's just try regular knockout. Cortex, this glorious nation's favorite pastime. When human sport dissipated, the robots came to rule the field of play. Dumb actors connected directly into the mind of elite coaches. One season would come to change the nature of the game forever. Let's try different backgrounds. I'll do one more of this and maybe move into a different... Well, I actually don't have that much time, so maybe we'll just make it a Frozen Cortex night tonight, but that was ridiculous. I will let you... That's actually the first time I've run into problems like that on this game. I could just be that I don't know the game that well yet. But I generally think it's quite a good game, though clearly a couple of the problems we've run into recently has not not commended it that well. Why different edges could make an impact this season? Is Cortex not violent enough? Why split pass completion percentage is the league's most overrated metric? Assistant call. I'd like a quick word with you. Ah yes, hello System Shock. Thought I'd better remind you of your contract with the team. We're somewhat pressed financially this year, as such we'll be relying on match win bonuses from sponsors. That means you can't lose a single game. Yes, did actually say that. Subsection 12. Look on the bright side. If you do well in a match, we'll be rewarded with some new tech from one of the manufacturers. I know, we're doomed, but try to put a brave face on it if you can. I'll be here if you need anything. Just click my convenient icon in your Coach OS system and I'll come running to your beck and call. And T. Clark played a game called Blood Bowl. The RNG in that game is so out of control that for an entire game the ball never once left the ground. It just got kicked around by players trying and failing to pick up the ball. Yeah, I think that's the drawback of the RNG element. Alright, Colonel Levine is my opponent. System Shock, good to speak with you again. The team's doing great. I've just returned from intensive training camp in Glelum. I think we've got a good chance against you this year. Let's see how it goes. Good thing these teams are out of the field running, wait a minute. Field running around. Haven't seen either of them yet. You're in the field now, System Shock. I hope you got what it takes. Alright. So... this is an interesting one just because of all the wide open spaces it has. Nope. So what I'm trying to do here is kind of block any movement forward. Ideally, I think what they'll try to do is actually pass something down here. But I'm going to commit it and just see... I'm going to see what their movements are after I set up the turn. Okay. So just see if they try this. Okay, so I win that. They're done for if they try the right. So the big question is, how far can they get if they pass it along here? Alright. I'm pretty sure I've got this covered. Theoretically, one thing that they can try is... Right, but they pick up the ball so I can reset the strategy. Alright, so let's see what nonsense happens.
System Prime.
So the big challenge here is I've nailed him, but I don't have a best reply for the next move. I just want to make sure if he tries to run this guy through. Okay, good. Okay, so let's see what happens with this. Notice we stopped him just before the blue light as well. Random was right there for the tackle. A respectable performance, System Chalk. Okay, so you know what? The trick here is actually go for the BS running play. This game is really strict in terms of what it perceives as being backwards. Actually, I'm gonna be even cheekier. Oh wait, no, I can't do that. If I go for these two, then I have to run forward like that. If the blocking is about stats, you can't imagine the game will ever let you be in a situation where your stats are actually superior to the AI players. Well, you can always buy, like, in the end, you wind up buying different bots with their, like, with the money that you earn game over game. The biggest contributor, as is the case in Frozen Synapse, is your, like, whether you're standing. So, like, if you have, I'm sure you probably have experienced this, if you have two machine gunners going off against each other, the one that's been standing longer is going to get the shot off first. So in that case, it's very deterministic. But yeah, I mean, I'm doubtful that it's stats based, just because if you notice, the offensive units don't have a block stat, whereas the defensive units do. So I'm just going to try and make sure that this guy can't get past the defense. So can't do it that way. What if he tries that? Ah, interesting. So push it a little bit. There we go. So I'm sure there's going to be something else that makes me rage quit, but let's see how it goes.
Go.
Clearly when I do it, it's totally legitimate. Ronnie gets an outrageous running goal. With those additional point zones, he picks up 11 points on the play. Wow, wow, wow! System Chalk's got this in the bag now, or near enough. Don't count the Colonel Levine out just yet, Bob. You're making clever calls, System Chalk. So let's just see how they plotted their defense for that. So yeah, if I wound up picking up either of those, I would have been stopped. I mean, theoretically what I could have done was tried to pick up those and then made a diagonal move like this, but it would have been that would have been much riskier than I would have liked. It doesn't actually tell me how long the full match is. I can't remember how many turns offhand. Well, I didn't run through the enemy player. Yeah, that's true. Simchak is a pretty chunky lead at the moment. So this is going to be a very unconventional play. Part of this whole design is to see how they respond to this. I'm keeping this guy open for the option because I want to see what they do with this guy over here. I'm obviously heavily committing to the side, but that doesn't mean that I have to... Like, I'm wide open with the ball in terms of what I want. If anything, I can just dump it in the enemy end zone.
System Prime.
All right. That doesn't actually make sense to me why that guy's stunned. So we do the unexpected. Oh, they pick it up. That sucks. Alright, so now I've actually put myself in a really bad spot. Yeah, that's not gonna work because this guy's free. Hmm. So it seems like such an obvious play. I mean, at the very least, I can try and pick up this. Hmm. I mean, I'm not... Okay, look, I'm going to be honest here. I'm not crazy about this move, but it gets me a point, and I'm pretty well covered for my other positions. No, except for this. Damn it. Okay. Okay, you know what? He doesn't get that far, though. So... So it's going to be an easy 2 points.
System Prime.
And then I'll preserve the option for the next turn. So what's nice about this one is this guy's actually disabled for a bit. So I'm gonna move it up. I want to see how far down I can get this guy. So yeah, basically in this case I'm just trying to get up as many of these 2 points as I can and then dump the ball out if I have to. I believe this works.
System Prime.
I am relying a little bit on the fact that the AI seemed immune to that throw from the previous game. Yeah, so they're looking to clobber this guy as soon as possible. So what happens when they both run to the end zone? Oops.
System Prime.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Why isn't he throwing? Oh god, okay, so it's saying it's turnover now. See, this is what I don't get. So apparently this guy is gonna do a successful tackle, but the last time we were in this situation, the AI got basically a free pass. So, I mean, I gotta live with it, right? I just make sure that I'm properly covered. It's actually kind of a waste of time. If it's really going to be turnover, I should actually be running... I should be running this guy up. Yeah, so I've got the points that I needed, and now the trick is to just make sure they can't breathe. The only problem I have with this is they can do another ridiculous running play like they did before, but...
System Prime.
Yeah, so... Wait a minute. So there wasn't actually a... I don't understand what happened there. There wasn't a tackle, and it claims that there was a run? Yeah, it says short run for Rana there, but I don't know. Alright, let's see what we can do with this. Okay, this guy's out of commission for sure. Yeah, I hate this option. I need to cover this. Problem is if they throw. Yeah, so if they throw like that, they completely catch me. If this guy runs ahead. Okay. So it's a weakish defense, but it covers the running play for sure. And... not ideal, but we'll see how it turns out. So while I'm going to try and stop the running play, he does the... Ah, it's so frustrating. I think I moved the guy out of the way. Alright. That's a run by Ian with that points in the zone. That's 9 points. I doubt I'm the only one who predicted a far less favorable outcome for me. That was careless, but I mean, I made my decision. I have to live with it. Let's try the same suffocation we did last time. This case, I'm only applying 2.
System Prime.
But I kind of want to see how they handle it. Yeah, so we're more or less impenetrable there. We keep getting clobbered at this point, though. Okay, so what happens if they try to move like this? They successfully get by. So, move in, move in. I really don't want to cede those 2 points. We'll see how close I can get in without getting hit. Yeah, so they don't really have anywhere they can go with this. This game baffles you? It baffles me sometimes too, but I'm actually pretty confident in this defense. Only thing I want to know is whether or not they can do something corny like this. Nope.
System primed.
Cool. Ian grounds a 44-yard pass, but Doherty gets there first. Turnover. System Shock is almost a lock to take the win now, Bob. Alright, so I want to know whether or not I can just run this in. Oops. Okay. It was close, but not quite where it needed to be. Is there any... So what happens if I don't go for the 2 points? Interesting. Okay. That means there's probably some efficiencies in my movement. Okay, so I gotta think about what happens if I get caught. Anywhere along this path, they are going to be able to... The only place they'd be able to throw would be back down here. So I have coverage with this guy. I think I'm just gonna keep everything else the way that it is.
System primed.
Actually, there's one more thing I want to check. What if they don't try to get me at the end zone, but they try to get me here? They fail even more miserably. Okay.
System primed. Go.
Confidence is back, my
Won
friends.
the match.
Alright. That's it. That actually sounds like a good place to finish because the views have been dropping like flies. But let's watch the full replay of that.
Go. 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 You won the match.
Well, that was a fairly significant victory for System Shock there. Our final score is 26-9. I think Colonel Levine would could viably have been replaced... I'm not even going to try to read those anymore. Alright, so, I don't know. That was a... I mean...
You won the match.
Let's face it, even when you watch the full replay, that moment when the bot just stands there and nothing happens, that looks weird, even in the the context of a full replay. I still don't know what happened there. But I don't know. I'm reasonably happy with that one. I felt it was somewhat more competitive. I needed to think a little bit about what I was doing, and there was less. I mean, like, obviously the AI got a run straight to the end zone, which was entirely just me making a decision in terms of what I thought they were going to do, and it didn't turn out to be right. So that's the best that you can hope for in a game like this. I don't believe this ever works when I try to record it to YouTube, but let's try. As far as the rest of the stream is concerned, that's it for me tonight. I know I said it was going to be a variety stream, but I'm kind of at the time I was gonna finish. We got about 2.5 hours in, which is a little bit more than I was expecting. Oh, T-Clock. This game could be really crazy if it does have a multiplayer mode, where the turns are simultaneous, both players planned out plays at the same time and played it. Yeah, that's exactly the point of this game. Both Frozen Synapse and Frozen Cortex have multiplayer modes where basically you plan out your turn exactly like you see here. And it's entirely about trying to figure out what your best reply to the situation that you've been given is. So it's not. I was gonna say it's not that different from playing against the AI. The one thing you'll notice is that if you're playing against humans who have just started playing the game, they're actually easier than the AI. If you're playing against somebody who's been playing for a bit or is relatively experienced, then they're actually very challenging. They do stuff like what you're seeing in this play right now, where they kind of they do something that doesn't seem to make any sense unless you think about the fact that unless you think about the fact that your enemy is sort of designing for an optimal strategy. At that point, like the weird plays tend to pay off, just because people aren't going to be anticipating them. I don't know. I think I like this game, to be completely honest. I'm a little frustrated with some of the stuff that happened through this playthrough. It could just be because I'm not at my best, but I think this is a really well-made game. I like Frozen Synapse. I still like Frozen Synapse. They're two different games. I like the fact that both of them are in my library. Frozen Synapse is definitely cheaper on Steam, and I think in some ways is a little bit more polished game so far as gameplay, although the visuals are a little less glamorous. And yeah, I don't know. I was going to actually play Frozen Synapse on stream tonight, but I decided I was going to do some more Frozen Cortex because it's visually appealing. I like watching the replays on Frozen Cortex more, except for this moment. So as a recap, on Twitter there's going to be a survey for the Friday nights to kind of figure out what we're going to be doing regarding Europa Universalis and Crusader Kings 2. On Wednesday there will be a sort of co-op stream for Wanderlust Adventures. We'll figure out exactly when that is. I'll be sure to announce that well in advance, as well as put out some announcements. And of course I owe T. Clark for a very good suggestion to put an announcement in the Steam group as well. For those of you who are not a member of the Steam group, the link is down below. What else? Special thank you to Jesse Quill for hosting us tonight. I don't think the host is still in there, but definitely a nice, healthy host, especially when he's having a little bit of technical trouble. Ah, Mecha Fanboy, glad you came back. Sorry I didn't have much for you. I'll tell you what, I'll do one more play of this match just for you to see. I'm currently exporting to YouTube though, so it's you're gonna have to bear with me a minute. What else is there to talk about? Friday we'll be back to... I'll say this Friday we'll definitely be doing the Charlemagne playthrough. I probably won't have time to go over the survey And a week sounds like a good time for that anyway, so. Oh yeah, I'm tired, but I mean, I don't need to play the game, I just need to display it. Oh yeah, I did suggest that there was a game that I was planning on playing, which I hadn't say. It's going back to an old one that I had, which has been requested.
You won the match.
Alright, it won't be as slow as this one, so... Oh, it's trying to log me into Google. I'll just stop that for now. Yep. Thanks for spoiling the surprise, CPO. It's Kerbal. I'll be doing a career mode playthrough of Kerbal Space Program. Give it a couple of weeks, I just want to get used to the game again. Because I'm going to do an in-character playthrough. But yeah, here's the game that we just played, Mecha Fanboy. I'm purple.
You won the match.
Yeah, it's all good, CPO. I mean, we talked about it before, so I won't say what the in-character playthrough is going to be. That'll be the surprise. But once I figure out the mechanics for the fully released version of Kerbal Space Program, we'll get back to that. So, if you guys can give me a second, I know there's only a few of you left, but I appreciate you guys hanging out till the very end. Let me find someone to host, and I will leave you in better hands than mine for the rest of the evening. I will again take a minute to thank Jesse Quill again for the host. Thank you guys for watching, giving me something to respond to. I know I started off the stream not feeling 100%. I'm still not, great. I'm probably not going to put this down under my list of like best streams I've ever had. But we'll we'll take it as a lesson learned. I'm going to get some good sleep tonight, and we'll hit it hard on Wednesday, Friday, next Monday, and any other days that we can find in between. Tonight, I believe Seriously Clara is playing with W. Shan, so both of them are excellent casters. I will host Clara because I'm going to be going in there and modding next, but they are playing Terraria, so just give me a second here to hit that host button. If you guys can follow through, give them some love, see if it's your kind of thing, and if not, I wish you a very good evening. See you guys on Wednesday.